Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद। निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपिका श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीर्वुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Dhruva Maharaj returns home. Text number 6. Dhruva Uvacha योऽन्तःप्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरण श्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। ध्रुव उवाच योऽन्तःप्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ता सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरस्वदाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरण श्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। ध्रुव उवाच योऽन्तःप्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरण श्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्।
सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना
अन्यांश्च हस्तचरण श्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। योऽन्तःप्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरस्वदाम्ना अन्यां च हस्त प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। माताजी ध्रुव उवाच योऽन्तःप्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरस्वदाम्ना word to word translation. Dhruva Uvacha, Dhruva Maharaj said, Yaha, the Supreme Lord, who antaha within pravishya entering mama my vacham words imam all these prasuptam which are all inactive or dead sanjeevayati rejuvenates akhila universal shakti energy dharaha possessing swadhamna by his internal potency anyancha other limbs also hasta like hands charana legs shravana ears swak skin adin and so on pranan life force namah let me offer my obeisances bhagavate unto the supreme personality of godhead purushaya the supreme person tubhyam unto you translation and purport by his divine grace AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada translation Dhruva Maharaj said my dear lord you are all powerful after entering within me you have enlivened all my sleeping senses my hands legs ears touch sensation life force and especially my power of speech let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you purport Dhruva Maharaj could understand very easily the difference between his condition before and after attaining spiritual realization and seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He could understand that his life force and activities had been sleeping. Unless one comes to the spiritual platform, his bodily limbs, mind, and other facilities within the body are understood to be sleeping. Unless one is spiritually situated, all his activities are taken as a dead man's activities or ghostly activities. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has composed a song in which he addresses himself. Now you have the opportunity of possessing a human form of body. Now try to get up and realize yourself. The Vedas also declare, get up, get up, you have the opportunity, the boon of the human form of life. Now realize yourself. These are the Vedic injunctions. Dhruva Maharaj actually experienced that upon enlightenment of his senses on the spiritual platform, he could understand the essence of the Vedic instruction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. Dhruva Maharaj could immediately understand this fact. He was aware that for a very long time he was practically sleeping, and he felt the impetus to glorify the Lord according to the Vedic conclusion. A mundane person cannot offer any prayer or glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he has no realization of the Vedic conclusion. When Dhruva Maharaj therefore found this difference within himself, he could immediately understand that it was because of the causeless mercy of the Lord. He offered obeisances to the Lord with great respect and reverence, completely understanding that the Lord's favor was upon him. This spiritual enlivenment of Dhruva Maharaj's senses and mind was due to the action of the internal potency of the Lord. In this verse, therefore, the word Swadhamna means by spiritual energy. Spiritual enlightenment is possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is first addressed to the spiritual energy of the Lord. Hare. This spiritual energy acts when a living entity fully surrenders and accepts his position as an eternal servitor. When a person places himself at the disposal or order of the Supreme Lord, that is called Sevon Mukha. At that time, the spiritual energy gradually reveals the Lord to him. Without revelation by the spiritual energy, one is unable to offer prayers glorifying the Lord. Any amount of philosophical speculation or poetic expression by mundane persons is still considered to be the action and reaction of the material energy. When one is actually enlivened by the spiritual energy, all his senses become purified and he engages only in the service of the Lord. At that time, his hands, legs, ears, tongue, mind, genitals, everything engage in the service of the Lord. Such an enlightened devotee no longer has any material activities nor has he any interest in being materially engaged. This process of purifying the senses and engaging them in the service of the Lord is known as bhakti or devotional service. In the beginning, the senses are engaged by the direction of the spiritual master and the Shastra. And after realization, when the same senses are purified, the engagement continues. The difference is that in the beginning, the senses are engaged in a mechanical way, but after realization, they are engaged in spiritual understanding. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We are very fortunate to have with us His Grace Radhika Vallabha Prabhu today. Prabhuji is serving in ISKCON Chaupati. He hails from very close to Srirangam and did his studies from IIT Powai. And then afterwards, being inspired by the teachings of Srila Prabhupada's books and his teachings, he dedicated his life and joined the Chaupati temple. And Prabhuji is very well learned in the Prabhupada books. Hence, he is a very good teacher of Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, and Bhakti Vedanta. Prabhuji teaches in GV, Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith, as well as travels to different places, different temples, wherever the Bhaktivedanta or Bhakti Vaibhava or Bhakti Shastri classes happens. So we are very fortunate to have Prabhuji with us. Almost 1.5 year back, we had Prabhuji with us here, and again we are able to have him here. So let us express our gratitude by chanting Hare Krishna mantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the authorities in the ISKCON South Bangalore temple, Swayam Prakash Prabhu, Suvarna Gaur Prabhu, Kaustup Prabhu, the devotees who are managing the temple, temple president, and all the devotees who have come here for the Srimad Bhagavatam class, for giving this small opportunity to speak some words on Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are speaking from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the prayers of Dhruva Maharaj. Very important words of the Srimad Bhagavatam, very famous episode. And from the Dhruva Maharaj prayer, the first prayer is a very important prayer. Oftentimes is a tradition followed by many Bhagavata speakers to start the Srimad Bhagavatam by chanting this prayer as a Mangalacharana. So we are going through this prayer. Srimad Bhagavatam, the Chakravarti Pramana, is the emperor among all the Pramanas, as declared by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Tattva Sandarbha. So in all the Vedas speak about three subject matters: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. The relationship between the living entity, the Supreme Lord, the Sambandha Jnana, Abhideya, the process of establishing the relationship, and the Prayojana, the fruit of that relationship. When we see these three topics are discussed in all the scriptures, and when Prabhupada mentioned that Bhagavad Gita is a graduate study. In Bhagavad Gita also all the three topics are there, but predominantly speaking, the Sambandha Jnana is present in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a Sambandha Pradhana Grantha. So initially we start with the Sambandha Jnana. Just like, for example, in a marriage, initially when a marriage is going to be arranged, initially the Sambandha Jnana is obtained. The parents, the boy and the girl, they inquire about all the details about the other person, the family lineage, the character of the person, the qualities of the person, where they are working. So initially, the Sambandha Jnana is obtained thoroughly. So initially, similarly in the spiritual life also, we obtain the Sambandha Jnana by studying the Bhagavad Gita. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the Abhideya Pradhana Grantha. Srimad Bhagavatam contains Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana, but Srimad Bhagavatam predominantly speaks about the process of establishing the relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Lord through the various stories, various examples. Just like after the Sambandha Jnana is obtained in the marriage, when they decide to establish the relationship, then there is a certain process of establishing the relationship. In different traditions, they exchange certain clothes, exchange certain gifts, and there are certain rituals which are performed according to different tradition. And then but at a particular time they decide to make the marriage formal by doing the vivaha samskara. Uh, then after the vivaha samskara, then the both of them, the man and the woman, they start acting according to the relationship. Suppose the wife is cooking for the husband, the man is providing protection to the wife. So the activities which are supposed to be done in the abhideya, that is being those activities are being done after the sambandha jnana. So similarly, after the sambandha jnana is obtained in the spiritual life, we start engaging in the process of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Satyam, Atma Nivedanam are the 64 items of bhakti. And then after the Abhideya comes the Prayojana. Just like in a marriage, the Prayojana is the purpose of marriage is to beget a children who can continue the family lineage and to whom we can impart the uh, character and the culture, the tradition of the family, who can be a good servant to the society, who can be a good servant to Krishna. That is the prayojana. So after the abhidaya is done, then uh, they beget the children, and then the more focus goes on raising the children according to the principles of dharma. So similarly, in the spiritual life, after the abhidaya is done, the prayojana is the love for Krishna. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is a prayojana pradana grantha. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sambandha Abhidaya is also there, but the uh, 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 Prayojana is prominent there. How the devotees in love for, who have love for Krishna, how they interact with each other. The people who have love for Krishna, how they behave in their life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's symptoms of ecstasy, which are uncommon in this world, which the world had never seen in this, neither in the past nor in the future. Such symptoms of ecstasy, the loving dealings between the devotees, how they interact with each other. So therefore, the Chaitanya Charitamrita describes the prayojana prominently. And this is Srimad Bhagavatam is the Abhidaya Prayojana Grantha. In the Srimad Bhagavatam second canto, it is explained that Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshana Mutayah Manvantara Ishanukata Nirodo Muktirashrayah Dashamasya Vishuddhyartam Navanamiha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmana Shrutenartena Chanjasa. Srimad Bhagavatam contains 10 topics: Sarga, Visarga, primary creation, secondary creation, Sthanam, how the Lord maintains this world, Poshanam, the Lord's mercy towards the devotees, Sthanam Poshanam Utayah, the proclivities of the different living entities. It refers to the different impressions which are stored in the minds of the living entities. Manvantara, the periods of the Manvantaras, how the Manus actually rule this world. Ishanukata, the different stories of the Lord's incarnations. Nirodha, how the universe is annihilated. And the Mukti, the liberation. And finally, the Ashraya. Although the Srimad Bhagavatam contains 10 topics, Bhagavatam is essentially about only one topic, that is the Ashraya Tattva. Because the other 9 topics are presented in the Bhagavatam in order to focus on the 10th topic. So essentially, Bhagavatam is about only one topic, that is Ashraya Tattva. Just like in a lemon rice, there are so many ingredients are put in the lemon rice, but all the different ingredients are put ultimately to enhance the main ingredient, the taste of the main ingredient, that is rice. Or in the Kirtan, there are so many instruments are being played, but all the different instruments are played ultimately to increase our absorption in the holy name, which is the Ashraya Tattva. Or in the altar, in the deity altar, there are so many different focus lights are there. And the focus lights are there ultimately to increase our focus on Krishna. In different cantos, uh, different things might be more prominent. Different topics may be more prominent. Just like sometimes in different times of the day, different focus lights may be used. During Mangalarati and Shayan Darshan, uh, dim lights are used, but which will not be used in other times of the day. So different cantos, sometimes Sarga may be prominent or Visarga may be prominent. Some cantos, the Poshana may be prominent. But the purpose of those topics always remains the same. That is, Dashamasya Vishuddhyartam Navanamiha Lakshanam. The focus is on uh, focuses to the Ashraya Tattva, that is the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the compared to Srimad Bhagavatam, other Puranas, the focus is not always the Ashraya Tattva. It's like sometimes when somebody is making lemon rice, maybe sometimes the salt has become so prominent that uh, the whole attention goes to the salt. Or the chili has become more prominent, the attention goes there. Instead of remaining in the background in the appropriate proportion, the attention sometimes becomes more prominent in the some particular ingredient. Or sometimes in the kirtan, sometimes one particular musical instrument becomes so prominent, instead of assisting the main kirtan, sometimes a person plays little faster. So the other Puranas are like that. Other Puranas, although they do contain the glorification of Krishna, many times the other topics become more prominent, mainly to attract the people who are in the lower modes and in order to gradually elevate them. Sometimes the glorification of the other devatas or the processes other than bhakti, they become more prominent. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we see in Dhruva Maharaj the shloka. So let us go through the shloka little more detail. So, Yonta pravishya mama vacham imam prasuptan sanjeevayat akila shakti dharaswadamna अन्यांश्च हस्तचरण श्रवणत्वगादीन प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्. Akila Shakti Daraha, the Krishna who is the source of all the Shaktis, Sarva Shaktiman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord who is the reservoir of all the Shaktis. Akila Shakti Daraha, Yaha, that person, Mama Antaha Pravishya, that person having entered my Antakarana. Antaha refers to the Antakarana. Antakarana means mind, intelligence, ego, and the chitta. Yaha mama antaha pravishya swadhamna. Swadhamna means by his internal potency, by his chit shakti. Swadhamna imam prasuptam vacham sanjeevayati. Imam prasuptam vacham. Vacham means speech. Prasuptam is the adjective, Visheshana for the Vacham. This speech which has been sleeping so far, Prasuptan, this my organ of speech which has been sleeping so far, Prasuptam Vacham Sanjeevayati, that Supreme Lord having entered my Antakarana, he has actually enlivened my power of speech. He has given life to my power of speech. Sanjeevayati. So, Jivati means living. Jivayati means it is a Nijanta Prayoga. That means the person who makes other person to live. Patati, Patayati. Patati means studying. Patayati means making other person study or teaching. Sanjeevayati, by entering my power of speech, He has actually enlivened my senses. He has actually given me life. Not only the power of speech, Anyan Hasta Charana Shravana Twagadin. Other hands, Hasta Charana feet, and my ear also, Shravana Twag, my sense of touch, and Adin, all the other senses. And Pranan, my life here. Pranancha Sanjivayati. He has enlivened all my senses. To that Supreme Lord, Akila Shakti Dara, Tubhyam Purushaya Bhagavate Namaha. To that Supreme Lord, I offer my obeisances. This is the meaning of the shloka. Let us go through Sridhar Swami's commentary. Sridhar Swami's commentary, the original commentator of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who was given such high regard by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and also accepted by all the Sampradayas. Ishanugraha Samprapta Vag Adi Adbhuta Vrittibihi. By the Isha Anugraha, by the mercy of Bhagavan, Dhruva Maharaj is actually obtained spiritual senses. By the Samprapta Vag Adi Adbhuta Vrittibihi. He has obtained the power of speech and he has obtained spiritual senses by the mercy of Bhagavan. And Dwadashaditya Sankashaihi Shlokais Astaut Harim Dhruvaha. So Dhruva Maharaj has offered 12 prayers. These 12 prayers are compared to the Dwadasha Aditya. Dwadasha Aditya. The 12 forms of the sun. The 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a section in which the 12 forms of the sun are described. How in each different month the sun takes different form, it travels with different associates. So these Dhruva Maharaj's prayers are compared to Dwadasha Aditya. Therefore, we see that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, all the famous different shlokas are also included in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Artoyam Brahma Sutranam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on the Brahma Sutra. The fruit of studying the Brahma Sutra is included within the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bharatartha Vinirnayaha. The essential meaning of the Mahabharata is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Purananam Samarupa. Among the Puranas, it is like the Samaveda among the Puranas, because Samaveda reconciles all the different paths mentioned in the Vedas. Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda. And Srimad Bhagavatam similarly reconciles the different paths mentioned in the Puranas. Therefore, it acts like a harmonizer. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur named his magazine as a harmonist. The devotee is somebody who can harmonize the different contradictions. When Rahugan Maharaj glorifies Jadabharat, by your association, all the contradictions in the Shastras have been resolved. The devotee is a harmonizer. The Srimad Bhagavatam reconciles all the contradictions. So, Srimad Bhagavatam Vedartha Paribramhitaha. Srimad Bhagavatam explains and expands the meaning of the Vedas. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the meanings of the Purusha Sukta prayers are there. There's a chapter called as Purusha Sukta Confirmed. What is the speciality of the Purusha Sukta? Purusha Sukta is that prayer which is found in all the 4 Vedas. So therefore, among the Vedas, Purusha Sukta is given a very special place. And the meaning of the Purusha Sukta is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Aditya Hridaya Stotra, which is the famous Stotra, Dwadasha Aditya, that is also included in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in this prayers of the Dhruva Maharaj. And then further, Sridhar Swami says that, Yome Prasuptam Leenam Vacham Anyam Cha Pranan Indriyani Swadhamna Chit Shaktya Sanjivayati. So by your spiritual energy, you have given life to all my senses. You have given life to all my senses. Samyak jivayati. Jivayati means giving life. Samyak jivayati, you have completely given life. Yataha akilash chakshuradi jnana kriya shaktir dharayati iti tata. So because the Supreme Lord is Akhila Shakti Dara. He is having all the Shaktis. He is having Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Dravya Shakti. With all his Shaktis, he has actually enlivened. Today I have got a life. Purushaya. Purushaya refers to Antaryamine, to that Paramatma, to the Supreme Lord. I offer my obeisances. So let us go through Vishwanath Chakravarti's purport. Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Bhagavat Datta Vedartha Jnanas Tushtava Yad Dhruvaha. So Krishna has given the knowledge of the Vedas. So Dhruva Maharaj wanted to offer prayers to the Lord when he got darshan of the Lord. But he was just a small child, he couldn't offer prayers. At that time, the Lord actually placed his lotus hand upon Dhruva Maharaj. He placed his conch shell on Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva Maharaj got the essence of all the Vedic knowledge, and then after obtaining the knowledge, Dhruva Maharaj is praising the Lord. Vedartho hi sa eva iti na atra samsherate buddhaha. So that the intelligent people, buddhaha samsherate, na samsherate, so that intelligent people should not doubt that Dhruva Maharaj does not have the essence of the Vedic knowledge. So Dhruva Maharaj is, through these prayers, he is giving the essence of the Vedic wisdom. Akasmad eva piya vak adi sarvendriyanam Bhagavat unmukhi bhavam alakshya yesham idrisham aprakritatvam Sri Bhagavat kritam iti jnanam swasmin bhagavato nirupamam nirupadikyam tam kripam eva sakshat anubhavan iti vismayena namasyati yahi. So when he saw that all his senses have become enlivened, have become Bhagavat Unmukhi Bhavam, he saw that all the senses have become inclined to serve the Supreme Lord. And he saw that it is the Lord who has made all his senses spiritual. He understood that. So at that time, Swasmin Bhagavataha Nir Upamam Nirupadikyam Tam Kripam. He is appreciating the incomparable mercy of Krishna. Nir Upamam. Nirupadikyam. Nirupadikyam Kripam. So two adjectives are used. Nir Upamam and Nirupadikyam Kripam. What is the nature of Lord's mercy? The Lord's mercy is incomparable. There are some things in this world you cannot give comparison. Rama Ravana Yuddhaha Rama Ravana Yuddhayoriva. The battle between Rama and Ravana is like battle between Rama and Ravana. There is no comparison for it. So Nirupamam Kripam. And Nirupadikyam Kripam means that unconditional mercy. That means Dhruva Maharaj is feeling that from my side, I don't have any qualification to obtain this mercy. Although Dhruva Maharaj is, he actually is such an example of determination, he performed such determined devotional service, but he does not consider that to be the cause of getting Krishna's mercy. Nirupadikyam Kripam. We can see the humility of Dhruva Maharaj. Nirupadikyam Kripam eva sakshat anubhavam iti vismayena namasyati. So appreciating that incomparable and unconditional mercy, Dhruva Maharaj is astonished, and in that astonishment, he is offering obeisances to Krishna. And then further, Chakravarti Pad says that Svena Dhamna. Swadhamna means Svena Dhamna, that means Chit Shaktya. By his spiritual energy, Krishna enlivened the senses. Imam Mama Tvad Dasasya Vacham Tvad Swarupa Guna Leeladikam Eva Varnayitum Prasuptam Yetavat Kala Paryantam Shayita Iva Stitam Mritam Iva Sanjivayati. Till now, all my senses have been sleeping. But all my senses have been sleeping like the senses of a dead man. Mritam Iva. But today you have enlivened all my senses. You have enlivened the senses of your servant. Tvad dasasya. Yatu Sviyan Sviya Annapanadi Prakrita Bhoga Vartam Vishayi Kurvati Jagrati Eva Vagasi. That means till now, actually, my senses have been tasting the material sense objects. Prakrita Vartam Vishayi Kurvanti. But today you have Jagrati, you have enlivened those senses. From today onwards, Ata Arabhya Shayayatisma Nashayatisma Eva Iti Bhavaha. From today onwards, you have actually you have awakened those senses and you have destroyed those material senses. You have given me spiritual senses. And then finally he says that not only my power of speech, but you also enlivened all the other senses also. And you have made my life years also favorable for your service. That means Dhruva senses have become spiritualized. So this is the purport of Sridhar Swami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Path. Let us go through. Prabhupada has covered all these points in the purport. So let us go through some relevant sections from the Srimad Bhagavatam in relation to this shloka. So there are 4 states of existence: Jagrati, Swapna, Sushupti, and Turiya Avastha. So Jagrati state is that state where the mind is active, intelligence is active, and all the senses are active. Swapna is that stage where the senses are inactive, but the mind is active. Mind and intelligence are active. But Sushupti is that stage where the mind, intelligence, senses all are inactive. Only the soul is active. There are no dreams even in the state of Sushupti. Sushupti means deep sleep. So a simple example we can help to understand. So Jagrati is like a mobile phone which is active. The mobile phone is switched on. The network is on. The internet is on. So all the apps are active. That is like the Jagrati stage. Sushupti is like a stage where the mobile phone is in the airplane mode. The airplane mode, some of the apps will not be active. WhatsApp, emails, message apps will not be active. But still some apps will be active. Calendar will be active. Different time alarm will be active. And the deep sleep is like a mobile phone in the switched off mode. So even those apps which are active in the airplane mode, they will also be inactive in the deep sleep. But when a person comes out of the deep sleep, A person says that I had a deep sleep. In the deep sleep, if the mind, intelligence, senses, if all are inactive, then who perceived? How is it that the person is saying that I had a deep sleep? That means the soul was observing that. Soul is saying that. A soul was observing the state of deep sleep. Because of that, a person remembers I had a deep sleep. Even in a mobile phone, suppose we switch off the phone at night 10 o'clock, and when you switch on the phone at morning 5 o'clock, you don't see the time as night 10 p.m. You see the time as morning 5 a.m. So that means even in that switched off state, there is something within the mobile phone which was active. Because of that, as soon as you switched on, it is showing the time as 5 a.m. So similarly, during the deep sleep, also the soul is actually awake. That soul is reminding, oh, that I had a deep sleep. But beyond these three states, so it is said in the state of deep sleep, a person gets a glimpse of the Brahmananda. Because he gets a glimpse of the experience of Brahmananda, therefore that is giving him the strength to face the struggles in the material world when he wakes up. But in order to get that Brahmananda, or in order to get that uh, Brahmananda, uh, Brahmananda is the happiness in the Brahman platform. Higher than the happiness in Brahman platform is the contact with the Supreme Lord when a person engages in the service of the Lord. But in order to experience that spiritual happiness without any interruption, then that is available in the Turiya Avastha, that is the state of Samadhi, which Krishna explains in the Gita 6th chapter also. Samvidya Dukkha Samyogam Viyogam Yoga Samyatam. Sanishchayena Yoktavyo Yogo Anirvinna Chetasa. So, Yasmin Sitona Dukkena Gurunapi Vichalyate. In the state of Samadhi, even one will not be affected even by the greatest distress. So that Turiya Avastha is the state where the living entity comes in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he engages in the service of the Supreme Lord. So Dhruva Maharaj has attained the state of Turiya Avastha. In that state, he is actually offering these prayers. So, and we see in this shloka, Prabhupada is explaining, when a person when a person's senses are not engaged in the service of the Lord, he is considered to be a dead man. So this theme comes, this theme is actually comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially in a very elaborate way, the second canto, third chapter, where the sages of Naimisharanya, they are exhibiting their enthusiasm to hear about Krishna by criticizing the person whose senses are not engaged in the service of Krishna. Swavit vara hoshtra karai samstuta purusha pashuhu nayat karna patopeto jatu nama gadagraja. Shaunaka Rishi is saying that men who are like hogs, dogs, camels, and asses, they only praise those people who have never heard the glories of Krishna even once. So, in that sense, Shaunaka Rishi is saying that the people, and there are many people, many fan clubs present in this today's time. There are many people who are followers of sports stars or film stars or political leaders or different people. Uh, yeah, we appreciate whatever good qualities they have. But many times people don't follow a person for what he represents. Does he represent a principle? Does he represent a shastra? Does he represent the principles of dharma? Instead of that, people follow a person more like a fan club member. So here, Shaunaka Rishi says that people who praise such people, only people who are like hogs, dogs, camels, and asses, They praise a person whose senses are not engaged in hearing about Krishna. So, the animals praise such a person in four ways. He, as one person, accepts the quality of all four of us. Whereas we are all incapable of taking up another animal's qualities. A dog cannot get the quality of uh, cat or a camel. But this human being, he has got the qualities of all of us. And he, being a human, can take up so many qualities of the animal. But we, being animals, cannot even take up one quality of another animal. Like that, these animals are praising. And overstepping the principles of dharma, which the human being is supposed to follow, he accepts our qualities and he acts on an instinctive platform. But we, however, are fixed in our qualities by destiny. And he is aware of the hell into which he will be born by following our qualities. Whereas we are dull witted and we cannot understand what is going to happen in our future. But although he is aware of the hell, but still he is actually following animalistic life. Like that, these animals are praying that human being. So the dog's quality is to become angry without any reason. And the pig's quality is to eat impure items without any discrimination. And the donkey's quality is to carry heavy burdens. The camel's quality, it is eating the thorns. While eating the thorns, it is actually tasting the blood from the thorns, but it is relishing its own blood. And the quality of the donkey is to get kicked by its mate. So like that, these qualities are present in the human being who does not take to the service of the Lord. And then further Shaunaka Rishi says that Pile batoru krama vikramanye nashrinvato karnapute narasya jihva satidar durike vasuta nachopagayatyurugaya ghata. He says that how lamentable the ears of a person which are not engaged in the service of Krishna, those ears are like the snake holes. The tongue which does not engage in glorifying Krishna, that tongue is like a tongue of a frog. When the frog croaks, it only invites the snakes faster. It only invites its death faster. So therefore, Maitreya Rishi says that Tatapi kirtayamanga yata mati yata shrutam kirtim hareswam satkartum giramanya bidasatim. If I don't engage my tongue in the glorification of the Lord, it is like it will become unchaste. Therefore, according to my capacity, let me engage my tongue in the glories of the Lord. And then further, Shaunaka Rishi says that Paraparam patta kirita jushtam apyuttamangam nanamain mukundam shavau karauno kurute saparyam harer lasat kanchana kankanauva. So he says that the head of a person which may be decorated with nice turban and a crown, but which does not bow down to Krishna, is simply a heavy burden which will sink the person in samsara. It will sink the person faster in the river of samsara, in the ocean of samsara. And the hands which does not engage in the paricharya, the service of Krishna, however well decorated that hand may be with the armlets, bracelets, that those hands are like the hands of a dead person. And further he says that Barhayite te nayane naranam lingani vishnurna nirikshato ye The eyes which do not engage in taking darshan of Krishna, they are like the eyes of a peacock feather, the eyes on the peacock feather. They only fall on the thorny field of samsara. Padau nunam tau drumajanma bhajam kshetrani nanu vrajato hareryau. The legs which do not engage in going to the holy dhams of the Lord, those legs are like the base of the trees which are to be cut by the axes of the Yamadutas. And then the Shaunaka Rishi says, Jivanchavo Bhagavatangri Renum Najatu Martyo Bhilabeta Yastu. If a person does not get the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees, then such a person is like a ghost. Namartya, Najatu Martyo Bhilabeta Yastu. Sri Vishnu Padya Manujas Tulasya Prasanchavo Yastuna Veda Gandham. The nostrils which do not smell the fragrant flowers, tulasi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, those nostrils are like the nostrils of a dead man. Such a person is a ghost. In this way, after criticizing the individual limbs which are not engaged in the service of Krishna, the external limbs which are not engaged in the service of Krishna, finally, Shaunaka Rishi also criticizes the internal disposition of a person, which does not get transformed, which does not change, even after chanting the holy names of the Lord. Tadashmasaram hridayam batedam yadgruhyamanair harinama deyai na vikriyetata yada vikaro netre jalam gatra ruheshu harshaha. The heart which does not get transformed even after chanting the holy names of the Lord, even though he may shed tears externally, but the heart is not transformed internally, then such a heart is like a iron heart. It is a steel framed heart. The person whose hairs do not stand on end even after chanting the holy names of the Lord, such a person is having a steel framed heart. So the same theme is explained in this shloka where Dhruva Maharaj is saying that I am till now I have been dead actually. And the same theme is also explained by Parishit Maharaj in another shloka in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. Sa vag yaya tasya gunan grinite. The real speech is that speech which is engaged in glorifying the qualities of Krishna. Karaucha tatkarma karau. The real hands are which are engaged in rendering service to Krishna. Manascha smared vasantam stirajangameshu. The real mind is that mind which remembers the Krishna who is actually residing as a super soul in the moving and non-moving entities. Srinoti tatpunya katasa karna. The real ear is that ear which is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord. So even the Niti Shataka, Bhartrhari presents a Niti Shataka verse in which he presents the same principle but more on a moral platform. He says that Kare Shlagyas Tyagaha. The real ornament of a hand is hand which is engaged in selflessly serving others. Shirasi Guru Pada Pranayita. The real ornament of the head which is engaged in offering obeisances to the Guru. Mukhe Satyavani. The ornament of a speech is which is engaged in speaking the truth. Vijayi Bhujayor Virya Matulam. The glory of the arms are which show courage. Vijayi Virya Matulam. Hridi Swacha Vritti. The ornament of the heart or the mind is having a pure mind. Shrutam adhigatam cha shravanayor. The ornament of the ear is to engage in hearing the Vedic scriptures. So, Vinap Aishwaryena Prakriti Mahatam Mandanam Idam. A person who possesses these ornaments, even though he may not be, even though not having other opulences, so such a person is a naturally a great person because of possessing these natural ornaments. So Bhartrhari speaks these principles from a moral point of view. Srimad Bhagavatam takes this to the on a spiritual platform. So further going ahead, so Dhruva Maharaj is an example of determination. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would hear every story of Srimad Bhagavatam hundreds of times. Particularly the story of Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, it is mentioned that he would hear minimum 100 times. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was explaining in a class. Through this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is remembering that two qualities are necessary for actually progressing in bhakti. The determination exhibited by Dhruva Maharaj and the tolerance and the patience exhibited by Prahlad Maharaj. So Dhruva Maharaj is an example of determination. Bhartrhari speaks about three levels of determination. Prarabhyate na kalu vigna bhayena nichai prarabhya vigna vigata viramanti madhyah vignai punarapi pratihanyamana prarabdhamuttama gunana parityajanti. The person who is having a lowest level of determination, when he hears about the obstacles which will come in starting a process, but just by hearing about the obstacle, he will not start that activity only. So in this world also we see sometimes people, when they hear about certain things, oh, if I start this process, I may have to give up this, I may have to give up that. Hearing that only, they don't want to start. Can be in any aspect of life, whether bhakti or other aspect of life. And there are others who will start the process, but when they actually face the obstacles, then they stop the process. That is the madhyama level of determination. That vignai punarapi pratihanyamana, the uttama level of determination is somebody, despite facing the obstacles repeatedly, he does not give up the process. That is the uttama level of determination. So this is a general principle on the levels of determination. But of course, these levels of determination can be exhibited by a person in the direction of adharma also. Bhartrhari speaks about the general levels of determination. But one of the level of determination, for what purpose we are going to exhibit the determination, in which direction we are going to exhibit the determination. So Dhruva Maharaj exhibited the uttama level of determination in the devotional service to Krishna. Tivrena bhakti yogena. So dhairya is also another word which is used for determination. What is the definition of dhairya? Radharaman Goswami says that Sva abhishta vilambepi tattat anga shaitilyat. That means to not become slack in executing one's required limbs of bhakti, even if there is a delay in attaining the desired goal. And in Ujjvala Neelamani, Rupa Goswami gives another definition of dhairya. So oftentimes we may become slack in determination because of delay in attaining the goal. How long should I keep doing? So that is but despite the delay, one does not slack in one's executing the limbs of bhakti. So Ujjvala Neelamani Rupa Goswami says that Tira chitta chittonnatir yatu sadhairyam iti katyate. Dhairya is defined as the stability in one's consciousness even when there is agitation. The Prabhupada says that greatness of a person has to be estimated by his ability to tolerate provoking situations. This is another definition of dhairya. Vishnu Chakotipad gives a definition of dhairya. Probasya karanepi probanubhavo dhairyamiti. To remain undisturbed even though there may be a reason for disturbance is known as dhairya. So in that way, various definitions of dhairya, determinations are given. One verse in the Agni Purana it is explained that Krisher vrishti samayogat kalesyu palasiddhayoho sadarmam paurusham kuryan nalaso nacha daivavan. So when the land has been tilled and sown with seeds and sown with seeds comes in contact with the rain, when the land comes in contact with the rain, it leads to the attainment of good crop after some time. So similarly, all the good results in life are a combination of effort, providence, and the time. Your effort is to show the seeds, and then the providential arrangement is the rain coming, and then there's a time factor. Even after the rain comes, you have to wait for some time. So therefore, one should religiously put the required efforts, and one should never become lazy and never depend exclusively on good fortune. One should never exclusively depend on the daiva, and one should not become lazy also. Never depend exclusively. So therefore, there are two aspects of dhairya, that is non-agitation, another is the perseverance. So just like one Subhashita says that fruits and flowers spring up at the proper destined time even without any external impetus. Similarly, in the case of dharma, it bears its desired fruit only at a specified destined time. So, Vallabhacharya has written a beautiful grantha called as Viveka Dhairya Ashraya. In that grantha, he speaks a shloka, Tri Dukkha Sahanam Dhairyam Amrute Sarvata Sada Takravat Dehavat Bhavyam Jadavat Gopa Bharyavat. He says Dhairya means to have capability of tolerating the threefold miseries till the last moment of one's life. That is known as dhairya. And then in order to practice dhairya, we also need some role models, ancient role models and also the contemporary role models, contemporary devotees and also the ancient role models. Ancient role models like Dhruva Maharaj, contemporary devotees, maybe Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and also contemporary devotees, our fellow devotees also. So Vallabhacharya gives three examples as a role models to practice dhairya. Takravat, Dehavat, Bhavyam, Jadavat, Gopa Bharyavat. Everyone who has attained a material body should tolerate three miseries, remembering the following three examples. The queen who sold buttermilk, Jadabharat and the gopis. So I will just elaborate this example of the queen who sold buttermilk. Takra means actually buttermilk. Takravat is the person, the queen who sold buttermilk. So there's an interesting story. So there was a woman who had an affair with a man before she got married. But then she was born in a family of a king, but she had an affair with another man. But then her marriage was arranged with a king. So she became a queen. But the paramour of this lady told her, you get married to the king, but then after the marriage, You kill the king and then you come to me and then we will run away. So according to the plan, this lady gave poison to the king after the marriage and killed the king, and then she actually ran away with the paramour. But on the way, while running away with the paramour was bitten by a snake and the paramour died. And now this lady could not go back because people knew that she only poisoned, and the paramour also died. So she became like a vagabond. She started roaming from one place to another place. Whatever wealth she had brought, everything got spent. And then now she needed something to maintain her life. She ended up becoming a prostitute. And then one day, her body in the service of that customer, she ended up having affair with that person. And then before going, she asked that name of the person, and that person actually told the name. At that time, she realized that, oh, this person belongs to one of my he's my family member. She is not supposed to have that kind of a relationship with that person. And then she became so repentant. So I had this relation, this body. But after going there, he could not get the courage to commit. Again, he started roaming here and there. And then he got the association of some southward lady. And in their association, she also started selling buttermilk. And one day, some dacoits came and stole the buttermilk of all these ladies. And then all the ladies, they started lamenting that our buttermilk has been stolen by the dacoits. But then they noticed that this particular lady is not at all lamenting. She is completely calm and composed. And then they asked that, why are you, how is it that you are actually so calm and composed? Why are you not lamenting? They asked the reasons how she is not disturbed. And then she said that so many things have happened in my life. Why should I get disturbed by the simple loss of buttermilk? And then she told her entire life story actually. I was supposed to be the queen, and then I ran away with the paramour, and all these stories she told. After I have committed so many mistakes, so many things have happened. Now this buttermilk has been stolen, so why should I lament for this buttermilk? Like somebody, suppose was lost, somebody who's a big billionaire, he has lost some 200 crores in the stock market crash. Hmm. And then suppose he has become almost bankrupt and then he's going in a taxi and the taxi wala cheats him by for 25 rupees. So when he comes to know, oh, 25 rupees he has taken extra. So will he lament? So 100 crore has been lost. Why should he lament for this 25 rupees actually? So similarly, Vallabhacharya is giving this example So how can we relate to it? So this queen, this lady is like a living entity. So the living entity, this queen got married to the king. So all of us, the living entities, we have our eternal relationship with Krishna, who is like that king. But we left the association of Krishna and we ran away with Maya Devi, who is the paramour. And in the process, the Maya Devi ditched us. And then so many miseries have happened in our life. And so when a person realizes when the greatest mistake has already been committed, and then after so many lifetimes, then we come in contact with the devotees, when we take to bhakti, and in the process of bhakti, we may face different difficulties. uh, Different difficulties according to one's position, sometimes in the family or in the job or some authorities or different other difficulties. So sometimes our mind becomes so much overwhelmed by the present difficulties. uh, but when we see from a holistic point of view, from the larger perspective, the greatest mistake has already happened. uh, and then when we are taken to bhakti, then some mistakes here and there, those difficulties are like the loss of a buttermilk. uh, so when you realize that, oh, this is simply a loss of buttermilk, yeah, we have to deal with the immediate realities. But when we see from a holistic point of view, one will not get overwhelmed by that loss of a buttermilk, by the immediate difficulty. uh, when we see that holistic perspective, so therefore Vallabhacharya is giving this example of a lady who sold buttermilk, remembering that one should actually practice determination, he says. In this way, there are many points. Just few more points I'll complete. The Prabhupada writes in the purport that he says that the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is first addressed to the spiritual energy. Spiritual enlightenment is possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord. So the spiritual energy, when a person, when does a person come in contact with the spiritual energy of the Lord, the Yoga Maya potency of the Lord? The Prabhupada says in one purport, when a living entity sincerely repents for his past mistakes, and when he performs positive penance, then the effect of the material energy subsides and the effect of the spiritual energy increases by the mercy of the Lord. Just like Ajamila, after hearing the Samanya Dharma spoken by the Yamadutas and the Vishesha Dharma spoken by the Vishnudutas, then the Ajamil, he really got enlightened, and then he started repenting for the sins he committed. So I actually fell down from a Brahminical position. I drove away my elderly parents, and then I drove away my duly wedded wife. I started having an affair with this prostitute, and I committed so many sinful activities. So Ajamil started repenting. And where was I? I'm such a sinful person. I came in contact with the holy name of the Lord. How great is the holy name! And he repented, and then he performed penance by going to Haridwar and performed penance for 12 years. So this repentance and penance, that is the way by which a person, the influence of the spiritual energy increases in the life of a person. And once when Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan from Puri, on the way, one Muslim governor somehow became eager to meet Mahaprabhu. He expressed his eagerness to come and meet Mahaprabhu. And then the Orissa government officials told that he should not come with a weapon. He can just come with few servants. That is the condition. And that Muslim governor came and met Mahaprabhu. And by seeing Mahaprabhu, He was somehow transformed by hearing about Mahaprabhu, by seeing Mahaprabhu. He became transformed. And then he started repenting. Why did I take birth in this community and that I couldn't actually get the chance to chant? I didn't get the chance to hear about Krishna, chant the holy names of Krishna. And then he started repenting. And then Mahaprabhu told him, chant the holy names of Krishna. And he started chanting the holy names of Krishna. And then the Muslim governor said, Sei kahe more yadi kaila angikara, eka agnya deha seva kariye tomara. Since you have so kindly accepted me, please give me some order so that I can render you some service. At that time, Prabhupada writes in the purport, the Muslim governor is saying that, please give me some opportunity to render service. The Prabhupada says, if one is purified by following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's orders, that is by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one must certainly be eager to render service to the Lord. That is the test. When one engages enthusiastically in the Lord's service, it is to be understood that he is reaping the results of chanting the names of Krishna and Hari. So the result of chanting is that one becomes enthusiastic to render service. And then Prabhupada also writes in the purport that without the mercy of the Lord, simply by being expert in the poetry or literary, being expert in the one's literary skills, one cannot glorify the Lord. One needs the mercy of the Lord. And therefore, we see Shukdev Goswami also praying, Bhutair Mahadbir Yayuma Puro Vibur Nirmaya Shete Yadamushu Purushah Bhungte Gunan Bhungte Gunan. He says the Shodasha Shodashatmaka Solankrishishta Bhagavan Vachamsi me. He is praying to the Lord, please decorate my words. Please decorate my words. Please come and reside in my words. Without your presence in the words, my words will be like a dead body, although it may be decorated with many other alankara. Please decorate my words. Please come and reside in my words. And please reside in my words in such a way that Parikshit Maharaj can understand what I will be speaking. So Shukdev Goswami is praying to the Lord. Suta Goswami prays for the presence of Sukdev Goswami. Suta Goswami says that yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam dvaipayano viraha katara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravobi nedus tam sarva bhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. When Vyasadeva was calling out for Shukdev Goswami went to the forest. So that time Shukdev Goswami entered into the minds of the trees. And through the trees he spoke to Vyasadeva. Why are you attached to your son? So Suta Goswami is saying that just like you entered into the minds of those trees and spoke to Vyasadeva, please enter the mind of a dull person like me. And through me, answer these questions of the sages of Naimisharanya. So Suta Goswami is praying to Shukdev Goswami, please enter my heart and please speak through me. So not only Shukdev Goswami and Suta Goswami, the first and the second speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they are utterly depending on the Supreme Lord or the Guru. But even the Adi Guru, Balaramji, he also depends on Krishna in order to console the gopis. When Balaramji was sent to Vrindavan to console the gopis, it is described that Sankarshanastha Krishnasya Sandeshair Hridayam Gamaihi Santvayamasa Bhagavan Nananuya Kovidaha. When Balaramji was sent by Krishna to pacify the residents of Vrindavan who were suffering in separation from Krishna, Balaramji was thinking in his mind, the most difficult task in my life is the task of pacifying the gopis. Because he knew what is the nature of the love of gopis towards Krishna. Balaramji, in his one insignificant, in his expansion of the Sheshanaga, he is carrying the multitude of universes, and the multitude of universes are like a mustard seed for Anantasesha. But for Balaramji, the message given by Krishna to tell the gopis, that message was causing such a huge burden in his mind. And that message, with every step, he was feeling the increasing burden. How am I going to deliver this message? So when Balaramji came in front of the gopis, and Balaramji spoke to the gopis, and the gopis, when they heard Balaramji's message, they felt pacified, but they felt that they saw Balaramji in front of their eyes, but they heard the Krishna's voice. They felt that as if Krishna is speaking to them. And they were puzzled. We are seeing you, but we are familiar with Krishna's voice, but we are hearing the Krishna style of speaking. So they were puzzled. The reason was that Balaramji, because he felt utterly incapable how to pacify the gopis, Balaramji prayed to Krishna, please appear in my heart so that I can actually pacify the gopis. Please speak through me to pacify the gopis. So therefore, that shloka says that Sankarshanastha Krishnasya. Jiva Goswami comments that the name Sankarshana here implies that Balaram attracted Krishna to appear in his mind, and in this way showed Sri Krishna to the gopis. Thus Balaram consoled Krishna's beloved girlfriends. So therefore, whether it is Balaramji or Shukadev Goswami or Suta Goswami, any speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they depend on Krishna and the Guru Parampara, the Guru Varga, in order to give the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So with that mood in mind, that is why we begin the Srimad Bhagavatam with the Mangalacharana prayers. So therefore, this shloka of the this prayer offered by Dhruva Maharaj is actually chanted by the speakers of the Srimad Bhagavatam, so that Krishna can enliven our senses, and through our senses, Krishna can speak the Srimad Bhagavatam to us, to the people in front of us. So in this way, we see that these are some points in regarding Dhruva Maharaj section. So I think I'll stop here. So I'll recite the shloka once more, and if anybody has any comments or questions, maybe we'll take. Yonta pravishya mamavacham imam prasuptam sanjeevayat akila shakti dharasva damna anyamscha hastacharana shravanatvagadin pranan namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Hare Krishna. Hitting the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees means, yeah, definitely Bhakta Pada Duli, Bhakta Pada Jala, Bhakta Bhukta Avashishta, Tina Mahabala, they are the great potent items to advance in bhakti. Literally, it also means dust, but principally, it also means that service to the devotees. Service to the devotees. Definitely, a devotee will not give his dust to others. But what about service to him? Service also many times no devotee will want to offer Will also give his service easily, personal service. But another way to serve the devotees is that facilitating the devotee in his service to Krishna. So one is the personal service to the devotees, another is that facilitating the devotees in his service to Krishna. So that the devotee may be, uh, he may accept that service also. Somebody is helping him in his service to Krishna. So these are the different ways. Bhakta Pada Duli, that is difficult to get. Personal service may be comparatively less difficult, but it is more easier is it facilitating that devotee in his service to Krishna. Hare Krishna. That's the devotee at the end. Okay. Traditionally, when we talk about scriptural study, it involves different steps actually. First is to understand the sangati. Sangati means connection between one scripture and another scripture. I mentioned in the beginning, Bhagavad Gita is a Sambandha Pradhana Grantha, Bhagavatam is the Abhideya Pradhana Grantha, Srimad Bhagavatam is the Prayojana Pradhana Grantha. So one is to understand the Sangati, to connect, the understand. First level is that to understand the relation between one Shastra and another Shastra. That is the first level. And then we start studying one Shastra. In that Shastra, there are many sections are there. If we take Bhagavad Gita, first 6 chapters, middle 6 chapters, and last 6 chapters. There's a connection between first 6 chapters and middle 6 chapters and last 6 chapters. The Prabhupada also will explain at the end of the 6th chapter, at the beginning of the 7th chapter, will explain that. To understand the connection between one section and another section within the scripture. And then the third level is that within that one particular section, to understand the connection between one chapter and another chapter. Within the first 6 chapters, there's connection between first chapter and second chapter, second and third chapter. There's a third level of Sangati. And then within the chapter, there are many subsections. So you have to understand the connection between one subsection and another subsection. That is the fourth level of Sangati. And then within the subsection, there are many shlokas are there. What is the connection between one shloka and another shloka? That is the next level of Sangati. And within one shloka, there is connection between one word and another word. That is why when you study a shloka, there's a traditional way of studying a shloka. First step is we do the padacheda. Prabhupada has given the padacheda by splitting the different words. And then we try to understand the padartha. Every word, we understand the meaning of the every word. And the third is the connection between the different words. And then we form the anvaya. Anvaya is the rewriting the shloka in the form of a prose form. So within a particular shloka, we try to understand the connection between the different words. So when we actually study in this way, this is the traditional way of studying the Shastra, by trying to understand the Sangati and the different levels. So when we study in this way, then the Shastra becomes a Karavamalakavat. Karavamalakavat. Uh, in Tamil, it's called as Ullangai Nellikani, or Karavamalaka means it's like a Amalaki fruit in the hand. That means the Shastra comes under one's grip. So in ISKCON, we may not have the we may not know we may not be aware of the traditional way of studying the Shastra. So therefore, so in order to know the traditional way of studying the Shastra, therefore, usually the Samanya Shastras, one studies the Sanskrita Vyakarana language, those things are there. But I'm not saying that you have, at least making you aware of this process of studying the Shastra. But in the modern world, in the current time, we may have different limitations. Our time is limited, many responsibilities are there. But how we can practically implement this principle is that we can, when we are reading the particular Shastra, at least we can try to be make a note of how the chapter is flowing. How the chapter is flowing, it is there in the Prabhupada's purports and Vishwanath Chakravarti's purports even more explicitly. Because when the acharyas write commentary, they also talk about the relation between the previous shloka and the next shloka. And also they begin the chapter, they also mention or the connection or what is the essence of the chapter. So the commentaries of the acharyas, when you minutely see, and you can see the connection between the shlokas. So, and then maybe we can make a short notes of that chapter, so that when you make your own notes, you will get an idea of, okay, what is there in this chapter. And there are also different guidebooks published by different devotees. Surrender unto me for Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Subodhini is there, Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. So those guidebooks also give a help us to understand the Sangati between the different shlokas. So that is the technical or the traditional way of studying. Apart from that, yeah, a person should study in the prayerful mood, in the mood of rendering service to the Shastra, not in the mood of conquering, in the mood of rendering service to the Shastra. So this is the suggestion I have. This is the words from the Garuda Purana, which glorified the position of Srimad Bhagavatam. Purananam Samarupa. That is the word comes in the Garuda Puran verse. This sentence comes. Among the Puranas, it is like the Samaveda. So the explanation of that is that what is the role of Samaveda? In the Vedas, different paths are mentioned: Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. The Samaveda reconciles the different paths. Samaveda plays the role of harmonizing the different paths mentioned in the Vedas. So similarly, Purananam Samaveda means in the Puranas, various deities are mentioned to worship different devatas, and various processes are mentioned in the different Puranas. So one may get confused by reading the different Puranas, what is the sadhya and what is the sadhana. And Srimad Bhagavatam reconciles all the different sadhyas and sadhanas. In that way, it plays the role of harmonizing. So just like, that's why I mentioned that connection. Srimad Bhagavatam plays the role of harmonizing, just like the Samaveda plays the role of harmonizing. Similarly, a devotee also plays the role of harmonizing the different contradictions. Rahuguna is glorifying Jadabharat. By your association, all the contradictions in the Shastras have been reconciled. There is also a shloka in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Mahaprabhu is glorified. Samyak Shastra Vivadaya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has resolved all the contradictions in the Shastras. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also says that he has named his magazine as the Harmonist. So that's what I mentioned. How long we should take questions? Mataji, I'll take one question from her. Definitely, for all of us, the modern gadgets are a distraction, definitely. So we may have to we have to be we have to use the gadgets instead of being used by the gadgets, but oftentimes we also get used by the gadgets. So we have to make maybe sometimes personal sankalpa in our own life about how to how we are going to do our sadhana, or how we are going to perform different activities. So mobile has become inevitable in the current time. The different WhatsApp and different communications has become inevitable. But at the same time, we have to use a personal sankalpa in our own life, how we are going to use it. Certain times, technology is needed for in the service of Krishna in the current times, whether in preaching, in our different services. But technology is needed for our going back to God. Because just like Prabhupada writes in a purport in first canto, Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yename Apakritam Tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat. Arjuna says that previously I had power by which I could astonish even the Devatas. But now Krishna's disappearance, those powers have disappeared. I no longer have those powers. I have been defeated by some infidel cowherdman. The Prabhupada says that the powers and weapons, the Shaktis which were bestowed upon Arjuna, they were required for the mission of the Lord, but they were not required for Arjuna's personal going back to God, for Arjuna's personal perfection. So similarly, technology is needed for carrying out different services, carrying out a different, say, coordinating, messaging, etc. But it is not required for one's personal perfection, personal relationship with Krishna. We have to understand that. So we have to make a personal program, and sometimes, say, for children, there are means by which we can install parental controlling app by which the activities can be monitored, or even our own use of the mobiles can be monitored. We can install parental control app. We can put some other devotee whom we have, like-minded devotee, trusted devotee, to see that. So like that, that's what I can think in terms of technology. So one last question we'll take. Yeah. Hmm. Definitely. uh, See, bhakti, when we talk about the progress in bhakti, in one level, bhakti is only two steps. A person chants the holy name and he attains love for Krishna. On one level, there is only two steps actually, and one from one point of view. So such statements are written from that point of view. There are only two steps in bhakti. You engage in bhakti, and a person attains the perfection. But from another point of view, there are many intermediate steps. Rupa Goswami has given the 9 stages of bhakti: Shraddha, Sadhu, Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. So, uh, when we are in the Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, unsteady devotional service, so there are various symptoms of Anishtita Bhajana Kriya. Sometimes we are enthusiastic, sometimes we are not enthusiastic, and sometimes there is a confusion, Vyuda Vikalpa. Like that, various symptoms are given by Vishwanath Chakravarti. So because of that, one of the reason is the anarthas which come from various sources, or past sinful or pious activity, or anarthas which come from some aparad. So because of this anarthas, we are in anishtita bhajana kriya, and we sometimes feel enthusiastic, sometimes we don't feel enthusiastic. So one should become aware of that, and then one should, and that is why the sambandha jnana becomes important. The abhideya will become very strong to the extent our sambandha jnana is strong. The sambandha jnana is not strong, sometimes we may little not give importance to abhideya. So even though we may not feel enthusiastic, sometimes we have to act enthusiastically. And for that, the sambandha jnana helps regular hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. And sometimes there are certain services because of practical difficulties we may not be able to do, but at least in our heart, we should have a regret, I am unable to do it. Uh, and we should be wanting to do it. And when we get a chance next time, we should do it. So, Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. So thank you very much for your patient attention. If I had spoken anything inappropriate, I beg forgiveness. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. हरे कृष्ण.